2008 Toyota Highlander, rear brake pads and rotors. First you need to do is break your lug nuts loose, jack it up, support it properly, remove your rear tires, and those are 21 millimeters for the lug nuts. Then you need a 14 millimeter socket to remove your caliper bolts. And there's two of them, one here and one here. And those are 14. Okay, that's what they look like. And once you get them out, then you can pry off the caliper. You can use a flat blade screwdriver, pry it up like that a little bit, and it comes off. And what you want to do is you want to look at the caliper to see if it's leaking any fluid, if the boot's wet, or if the boot's torn. If the boot's torn and it's wet, you need to replace the caliper, okay? And you want to push the piston in. You can use a big pair of vice grips, or you can use a C-clamp with an old brake pad. Then you need to remove your caliper bracket. And that's held on by two 17 millimeter bolts that are on the back side right here. There's one here and one here. Remove those two, then you can remove the caliper bracket. Once you remove the caliper bracket bolts, then you can remove your caliper bracket. And then you want to get your pads out of there. Get your pads out. Most of the time they're frozen in there. Okay, you need to take off your clips, abundant clip hardware. And that surface right there where them go into needs to be cleaned up. Get all the dirt and rust out of there. Get them nice and shiny, and then paint them. And also, you need to make sure that your caliper slide pins are free. See, this one's free, and this one's locked up. You can try to get them out by putting them in a vise and turning them, and put a little bit of heat on them. If you put too much heat on them, you'll melt your boot, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to destroy it. So I'm going to put it in a vise, and I'm going to heat it up and see if I can get this pin to turn. See, you can put a little bit of heat on it. Use a propane map gas. Just heat it up. Take your time. Try not to overheat it so you don't start melting the boot. Put some heat on it. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of heat. Sometimes it takes a lot of heat. But hopefully it doesn't take a lot of heat. So, it's turning. So we'll just keep working it around. Just keep working it. And then give it a little pull up on it as you're turning it. And get it off there. Okay, turn your torch off so you don't burn your garage down. Alright, now this is the one with the little rubber insulator on it. And that one's going on the bottom, okay? So, get these boots off. Try not to destroy them. Put them on a wire wheel, clean them up. Try to destroy the little insulator right here. Sometimes they end up being no good. So you'll end up having to get a pin kit, or you might have to make your own with a little bit of a vacuum line. But wire wheel and a razor, not a razor, hacksaw blade, you can clean that up. Just work it around it. Okay. Then when you get them all cleaned up, put some Sil Glide on them or some caliper lube and lube them up and stick them back in. Do not fill these up with lube, because then you'll never be able to compress it with the pin. Okay? So I need to clean up your bracket. Okay, here's your slide pins. Actually, you should just replace the whole caliper and the bracket, but this car's got 300,000 miles on. He's gonna get rid of it. He doesn't want to spend any more money. So I'm cleaning it up the best I can. Here's the caliper bracket. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint those and put some lube on my boots around here. Got them all cleaned up with my hacksaw blade. Same thing with my pins, slide pins, hacksaw blade, cleaned them up. So, and then once I get the boots on, I put some Silglide on here, caliper lube, wipe it all on there, and turn it as I'm pushing it in, and get it clipped onto the boot. Okay, I got them painted. Got my pins in. My pins are in, and got some lube on them, and we're all set to go. All right. Remember, the one with the grommet, the rubber on the tip, went on the bottom. Okay, I pushed the piston in with the C-clamp, and there's the old pad, and this is how I got the C-clamp in there. Make sure your line is not pinched, because it'll make it harder to push the piston in, because you won't be able to push the fluid past the pinch part. Okay, so now that you got that done, then you need to remove your rotor. If the rotor's stuck on there, you need to hit it with a mini sledge to break it loose. And also you want to save your little plug for your parking brake adjuster. But you can't get in there through that way anyway. What's the point? Okay, once you get the rotor broke loose from the hub, you'll need to get the rotor off. If the rotor's stuck on the brake shoes, then what I do is I take my hammer, I hit it on this side right here, and I get it moved as far as I can, and then I'll stick my hand underneath inside here if I can, or a screwdriver, and hold this out as much as you can, and then take your hammer and hit it right here, punches that side in, and then leaves, and then when you're pulling on this side, it leaves this side out. So keep pulling on this side and then hit behind here again with the hammer that way. And it walks the rotor out a little bit farther. Put your hand behind here, or you should be able to by now, and hold it and pull it out. And then when you hit this side with the hammer again, it bangs it this way, and eventually you're working it out. And once you got it all the way out, you're gonna get a lot of brake dust on the floor. So be careful, you don't breathe it, doesn't smell too good. And then here we are. You need to inspect your parking brake shoes. These are shot, but like I said, 300,000 miles. He wants to get rid of it. He's done with it. He just needs to get the brakes done. So what we're gonna do is clean up the hub. You gotta have your hub cleaned. If the hub's not clean and has high and low spots on it, that creates not a true surface for your rotor. It's gonna cause your rotor to wobble like that. So when you apply the brakes, you'll get the pulsation through your brake pedal, and you don't want that. So you need to clean this up. Once you get it all nice and cleaned up, and a little bit shiny, put a little bit of anti-seize on it, and then put your new rotor on there. And make sure you line up this part here for your plug on your rotor. Okay, got my hub clean, got a little bit of anti-seize on it. Got my rotor, cleaned it with some soap and water or some glass cleaner. And now, put your plug in there, and then line up your plug with that little notch half moon there, and put the rotor on. Next, put your hardware, your bundle clips into your caliper brackets, and make sure they're in there properly, all bombed out on the sides inside there, so they're not sticking out and hitting the rotor, okay? Now you need to get your bolts started and snug them up. Got the caliper bracket on, got the 2 bolts in the back snugged up. Those were the 17s. You want to torque those to 75 foot-pounds, 75 to 79. Then you want to put the brake pads in. And what you want to do is you want to put them in. These act like little springs, so you need to push against them with the pad. Get it in on the bottom first, put a little bit of an angle, and work on the top get it in there, push it in there a little bit of an angle, and see how it is. It's in an angle, see? And do the same thing for the inside rotor. You have to get in there and look, and more or less gotta feel it, you know? All right, so those are in there. And now we need to do is put our caliper on. Put our caliper in here. Push your slide pins in so you can get your caliper in there all the way past the slide pins. And then you can get your bolts started. And once you got all your bolts started, the caliper bolts, you need to torque those to 22 foot-pounds. Got your caliper bolts on there, you got them torqued to 22 foot-pounds, and that's it. Make sure you do the other side the exact same way. And then you can put your tires on, and you want to torque those to 100 foot-pounds. Lower the vehicle down to the ground, go inside the car, start it up, push your pedal to the floor a couple times, make sure you got a decent firm pedal. Go underneath the hood, wipe off your reservoir cap for your brakes, and then top off your fluid. And double check on the top of it and make sure you put it in the right dot. It's usually dot 3, but make sure it's not dot 4. Okay, and that's it. And reason why you want to make sure you get a good brake pedal beforehand, because as soon as you put it in drive or reverse, this car is taking off, and if you didn't pump up the pedal beforehand, you're gonna drive through and hit something. So just be careful. Make sure you do that. If I helped you out doing this brake job, that's awesome. Hopefully you can help me out by subscribing. If you already did, I want to thank you, and good luck.